Support comes from the 2023 Lafayette Electronic Arts Festival, featuring Morton Subotnick and Lilivan in a quadraphonic audiovisual live performance at the Arts Hub in Lafayette on Sunday, April 30th at 7 p.m. Tickets and information can be found at leafcolorado.org.
And if you are interested in that performance coming up at Leaf, we do have next weekend on Saturday. That would be April 8th. We've got an exclusive interview with Morton Subotnick, who's about to round the bend at the age of 90, who is one of the co-creators of the modular synthesizer. So he will be performing live at the Lafayette Electronic Arts Festival in April. So be sure to check it out. So we're dialed in here on Electronic Air, KGNU Boulder, Denver, and Fort Collins. We're talking about Buddha Bomb, one of our longtime beloved friends, co-producers, and the father of two of my guests who are here in the Air Studio with me right now, who have been hopefully, having some new experiences with some of the material that we've been able to share, as well as bringing to light some of your own insights about your dad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that sound drop of him kind of putting on that the laying out the philosophy of connecting with people. I actually only heard that for the first time, after the funeral, and I thought that was just so awesome that was put together. And thanks, Raja, for finding that and producing that with the music. It's so awesome, and just it's amazing how well it kind of encapsulates what he was about as well. So yeah, I'm just enjoying hearing it. So thank you.
No, absolutely. And big shouts out to DJ Miraja, Raja Ananda for sharing with us a lot of the music that we've been underscoring the tribute with tonight, and in particular that piece that I think was just so meaningful. When I heard him play that at Rhythm Sanctuary, it just sent chills through me. I mean, it was again, it felt like innumerable conversations that I've had with your father over the years. Yeah. So it just really brought him right there in total proximity.
Yeah, but just how well put together, and how clearly expressed that was for the profundity he was getting at, and just it was just so easy to follow what he was saying. So I don't know, that's just a sweet piece to find.
No, absolutely, and I've got a little bit more of that we'll drop in as we're rounding the bend. About 50 minutes left in the program tonight. We've had a number of folks who have been sending in emails, so appreciation for anyone who's wanted to give their thanks for Buddha Bomb's presence in their lives. There have been a lot of fans, a lot of folks who have been sending things to DJ at KGNU.org, where I've got the inbox open here. Also, shouts out to Miraja, who's been texting me during the program, and I know has been tuning in. As well as Jax and Lindsay, all at the radio. Just really appreciative of your comments and feedback during the program. So I know that we've kind of covered a lot of territory. Are there things that are still top of mind for you, Elena, that you would like to share that you've been reflecting on?
Well, I thought it was really fitting when you asked me to join you on the show, and I realized it was April Fool's Day, because that was, if you want to call it a holiday, I guess it's not really a holiday. My dad wasn't really a holiday type of guy, but he loved April Fool's Day, and he would always play tricks on us when we were kids. I remember one year he put, instead of giving me cereal and milk, he gave me Cheetos and milk and just served it up to me and was like, what do you mean, you don't want to eat that? And then there was another time I was in 3rd grade, and he always packed my lunch, like I said before, but on this day it was April Fool's Day, and when he packed my lunch he put a raw onion, a raw yam, like a sweet potato. My dad loves sweet potatoes. Just a bunch of other goofy stuff, like a giant gummy tarantula and all these silly things. And all the kids thought it was so cool. They all gathered around me and were like nobody else's parents did anything like that at all for them for April Fool's Day. So it's something that it makes me happy to remember, because my dad really did have such an incredible sense of humor. And he really just was able to find so much humor in life. And part of my coping mechanism has been like making dead guy jokes and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's fitting that you did this tribute to him on this day in particular.
Well, it's no joke. And
I know, and that was my first thought when you reached out to me, was like, I really wish if this was all an April Fool's Day joke, you know, and we could be like, just kidding, like, haha, he's not dead. But yeah, obviously that's not the case. So, but I'm happy to be here and share this day with you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It means a lot to have both of you here, and I'm just so appreciative. You know, I've known you both since you were kids, and you know, so to me, you know, you both have a very special place in my heart as well. You know, it's definitely part of your dad's story, and I think, you know, for someone of his profound wisdom and you know, having the kind of mystical and spiritual depth that he did, my feeling is I don't think that he had any fear of death, and I'm kind of curious, you know, what your perceptions might be of that, because honestly, I think, you know, he had such a tremendous loving heart. You know, I think if there was any you know, kind of thing that may have been a regret, it would be, you know, leaving you, his loving children, his grandchildren, and but other than that, I think he was an adventurous guy, and he probably felt ready to take the next step.
I agree with that. He wasn't afraid of really anything. I mean, you know, the story of how he founded the business was like, you know, he had a well-paying job, he, you know, got everything together, sold it all, started his business, did that. Then he decided not so much with the business, I'm going to do a DJ thing, and like just to leap into that the way he did as well. And admittedly gradually, but still, he was not a fearful person. And like we would, you know, if we were like doing something like where I was intimidated, like I remember the first time I went to like a football game or something like that, you know, it was always, he always had no fear of anything like that. Like if you were traveling somewhere, he'd be like a great travel companion. Like you'd never worry about
ditch us all the time.
Well, that, but
he
like
would always be like 50 feet ahead of us in the airport, and we're like, slow down.
Well, you know, we had to learn what to do. So, but I think that, yeah, philosophically he would be so intensely curious about the conscious experience after death that that would overwhelm anything like the fear that he would experience as well. I mean, like obviously there would be some, but I think that would be the stronger pull.
You know, one of the things that he and I talked about quite a bit, and that was referenced in that piece that we just listened to, was, you know, defining what is consciousness. And I know that he and I both shared an affinity for the philosopher Eckhart Tolle. And you know, your dad was just so fiercely intellectual, and he and I were always swapping books with each other and gifting each other books, you know, on our birthdays. And I remember giving him, you know, that book by Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth. And in it, Eckhart Tolle talks about consciousness being the awareness of your awareness that you're experiencing things. And so what is that? What is that awareness that sits behind the awareness? And you heard him speak to that in that particular piece. You know, that's just kind of the depth that he had just on an average day. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like it was some special leap for him to get to that place. You know, it was just profound in that way.
you'd sometimes start with sports, but you'd get there pretty fast.
It's true.
Yeah.
He did love his football.
Yeah.
But, he also had his philosophy behind that.
Yeah.
He'd talk about how there was a warrior class, and, somehow you'd get into, talks of reincarnation and, the needs for souls to evolve over time. And that was part of the consciousness that the earth still needed to pass through. And it's just like, yep, just another ordinary day with Jim.
Yep. Yeah, I bet he had some amazing conversations with just like random people at supermarkets that no one but he even knows happened,
I was just going to say, when we talked about football, we were just talking about football. Like, we were not talking about all this next level stuff that y'all are talking about.
No. With you, though, it was a bonding mechanism, so there was still another level.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thought a lot about what he went through in his final moments and stuff like that. And if he was afraid, or if he was prepared, or if he was ready. And, I don't know what it is to be ready. I don't think it was something. I don't think he was necessarily ready, but I don't think he was afraid. As much intelligence as he had, and as much as he looked at himself and studied his own consciousness, and just all of the people that knew him that were also involved in the Buddhist path. Came up to me and were very sure that he had set himself up through his life to be able to not be confused for whatever this next journey was that would come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I earnestly believe that, and I believe that through the many conversations that we had, and just knowing the depth of your father. And one thing that I've been reflecting on, he was such a generous person in so many ways, and I've reflected on the fact that he died on his birthday. Mm-hmm. And there's this whole dimension to just kind of the added pain that brings for those of us who are left behind. But I also thought about it in terms of, in my perception, it's almost a selfless act, because for someone like Jim, he knew that it was going to be difficult for a lot of us that were left behind, no matter what day it was. And so to go on a day where the focus was already on him, it's like the direction of attention was already there. And so it's as if he wasn't taking away from anyone's natural focus, right? And that, my belief is just knowing who he was, that his higher awareness helped guide that, and it really feels like, from what I know about his last day, that there was some recognition of that, some realization of that.
I'm kind of grateful that he hung on for those 9 minutes or whatever, because at least he got to have one more birthday.
Yeah.
And Brian, you're right. Now we just have that one day a year. Yeah. We don't have to be sad on his birthday and his death day, because it's the same day.
It's convenient. Yeah.
Well, and I also think that your dad was someone who's so unconventional. It just seems so perfectly fitting, It's like, this is something unusual, If I'm going to go out, I'm going to punctuate it.
And it was a snowstorm, the middle of a raging snowstorm when he passed away. So, he had to go out with a bang. That was definitely his style.
What's so interesting to me is, because of the Tibetan Buddhism, it was the first day after the Tibetan New Year, if I understand correctly, the water rabbit. So all this Tibetan lineage was right there. Boom. I mean, I felt that he knew, he was prepared, and he was ready. And Brigitte said at the memorial that, when you're dealing with all this matter on the, linear realm, for somebody like Jim, he's got to fly, man. He's ready to break out of this mortal coil and just...
Yeah, I think it's interesting you mentioned the water rabbit, because he was actually born in the year of the water dragon.
Exactly.
And he was a Pisces, so he and he grew up on the water, actually, in New Jersey, so he had this connection with water and this sort of like fluidity of water and like the go with the flow. And my dad was super laid back unless you pissed him off, and then he was really scary. He was one of those people. I won't tell unless you want to hear.
Don't break the myth.
I will not tell a scary story. I know everyone thinks he's like cool as a cucumber, but like y'all have no idea.
Yeah. He evolved there, though, right? I mean, not in later years.
Yeah, no, he was cool.
Yeah, he was cool as cucumber later on. Yeah.
Well, I want to give shouts out to Violet also, who just dropped us a line in the inbox, who's listening in. I know that she was there in his final moments, and just thanks to you, Violet, for being there and for being a part of his life and being so dear to him. Also from Kit Incorrigible, who just wanted to say that Buddha Bomb was one of the redeeming qualities of moving to this area for actually pumping it out on the airwaves and redeeming an otherwise vacant valley of a lot of culture that folks who come to Boulder from other places, immediately see. And Selena, you mentioned Brigitte, and she's got a piece here that I want to include as well. And one of our former co-founders of Electronic Air, Stephen Ironfeather, he's also put something together. He's across the waters, living his life in Japan, and so he and his wife Yukako put together a little remembrance that I think is just a lovely little piece that we're going to include here.
Konnichiwa. This is Stephen Ironfeather. I heard the news when I was on a small holiday, spending some time driving along a very quiet, empty coastline. And I think hearing such news, being near the ocean, is a good place to process it. The feeling I had was I lost a friend, and also the community has lost like a pillar. I have many good memories, of course, from Electronic Air and different dance parties, but also some personal times when I was going through some rough stuff, and Jim was there as a friend and a listening ear, and very kind to me. I'll not forget this. But I think about Jim, I think about his handsome face, his very warm smile, his beautiful voice, and his great dance tunes, and he's such a great guy, and I really regret not saying that to him, that you are awesome, I love you.
Thank you, Stephen.
It's so nice to hear his voice. It's been so long. He's been over there. He made his dreams in Japan. He's just having a blast. And his heart is so full. and to hear his heart come out with just basic love for
yeah.
another human being.
Oh yeah.
So cool.
Well, another really loving person. So thankful to have that remembrance that he was able to put together to share with us as well.
And the music too. Tell us about that bit of music at the beginning.
Yeah, so that's like a traditional Japanese koto playing a classic trance track, Faithless by Insomnia. So it's, I just love, that Stephen brought all that together, and thanks to his wife Yukako as well.
Yeah, really, really great. Thank you, Stephen and Yukako.
Well, we've got another remembrance from Brigitte that I wanted to share. Brigitte Mars, who's been just a longtime figure in Boulder and was a very close friend of Buddha Bomb's towards the last decade or so of his life.
And Bethy Lovelight.
Yeah, and Bethy Lovelight. Yeah. And
Can I
she's,
just say my dad's friends have like the coolest names ever? I'm right. Like I don't have any friends named Rainbow Michael or Bethy Lovelight
or Selena Dubgoddess or E23.
Or DelayLama.
That's right. Well, there's another cool feature of this remembrance with Brigitte. So, after Jim had taken my class at DU in digital audio production, he had all the basics down on, mono track editing. Right, he was ready to kind of step it up to the next level, get into some multi-track mixing, and learn some additional music theory that he could apply to his music production. And so he ended up taking a class at Berklee Online, the Berklee School of Music. And, it was just really impressive. He ended up, putting out a number of new tracks. And so I've underscored this memory from Brigitte with one of those tracks that he did called The Beats Generation, which is just so perfectly fitting for him as well. This is Remembrance from Brigitte Mars.
I just want to say I feel so blessed to have known Buddha Bomb as much as I have and spent the past maybe 12 years doing many things with him. The first time I met Buddha Bomb, he was DJing at a party, and I remember there was a piñata that had MDMA capsules in the piñata, quite a wild thing, but not that Buddha Bomb was doing them, but it's like, okay. And I was, Buddha Bomb, his name has always gained so much respect. And when my partner, Bethy Lovelight, came out with their first CD, I said, send it to a few DJs. And Buddha Bomb actually listened to it. He called her, he put her on his show. He lifted up so many musicians. He really wanted to give a voice to people. And I saw him do this with so many people, lift them up. My grandson, Solwyn Forrest, needed to do an internship for New Vista High School. And not only did Buddha Bomb teach him about DJing and organizing his CDs and all of that, put him on the radio, but he said, son, I'm going to teach you how to do JavaScript because DJing might not make you the big bucks. And I just thought that was so beyond the call of duty. So one of the things that I really loved about Buddha Bomb is him, Bethy Lovelight, and I would do this chakra activation. And basically, I would do a little class on what are the chakras, the colors, the food. Bethy Lovelight would do a song, and kind of a song that talked about the chakras, and then Buddha Bomb would do a dance. And so it was really an opportunity for people to come and move and experience this elevation and ascension. So by the end of the evening, you felt like, whoa, my crown chakra's all lit up, and I'm really having an amazing experience. I feel connected to the divine presence. And for 7 years, I've never learned to drive a car, but for 7 years, we did not have a car. And so Buddha Bomb was our ride to festivals, to concerts, to Rhythm Sanctuary. And we drove in some really horrific things, snowstorms and lightning storms and hail. And so I have a chapter in my upcoming memoir book called Wildflower Child, A Tale of Sex, Psychedelics, and Natural Foods, where the chapter's called Buddha in the Blizzard. And I always felt, he used to be Chogun Trumpa's driver. Therefore, this dude must be trustworthy and know what he's doing. And, the energy of Buddha Bomb. I would see him DJing at Rhythm Sanctuary. We'd be done like at maybe 11 o'clock by the time we got all the equipment. And then it's like we get in the car, we're driving to another festival in New Mexico because I would be teaching about herbs, Love Light would be performing, and Buddha Bomb would be DJing. And we just had so many adventures.
It's the beat generation. It's the beat to keep. It's the beat of the heart. It's being beat. And it's Bayat. And it's Bayat. It's the beat generation.
So that's some great original material from Buddha Bomb. That's a track called The Beats Generation, something that he created after attending a Berklee music school course. And of course we heard from Brigitte Mars also with a memory. I wanted to say thanks for that. We keep having folks who are dropping in their appreciation for the program tonight. So wanted to give a few additional shouts out to Logan, who wants to say he's listening with Grandma and Grandpa Phil, and hi, Mom.
Logan, love
you. And we've also heard from a couple of other folks, including Gil Figueroa, who was one of his closest friends, and he wanted to say hello to both you and Ati.
We love you.
And so, thanks to everyone who's been participating in the show tonight and dropping us some additional kudos for the programming. Again, thanks to Miraja for some of the music that he provided tonight. We've got some other original music that we're going to include. And one of those pieces is from the DelayLama. And so, Dave, maybe you can step up to the mic here and just tell us a little bit about Buddha Bombs Away, which is something that we're going to mix in with this spoken word piece that your cousin Colin provided.
I'm not sure I have a ton to say, except that, when I had heard the news, I guess it was just a way for me to kind of process that. And so I did that track the weekend of having heard the news. And so I don't know what else to say about it. It just, it was a way for me to sort of work through some emotions and put it out in a way that I thought maybe Jim would appreciate. So
well, I think it's worthy. It's beautiful and it's epic, and so it's mixed in with something from Colin Mosher, who is Jim's nephew, and it's kind of a funky little spoken word piece that's it's kind of a quasi psychedelic Hunter S. Thompson kind of influenced poetic piece.
Well, cool. I appreciate and I'm honored by your picking it up and including it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some. I also I grabbed. I took the chord progression from Rocket Man, which I also felt was just fitting for Jim, and I fed it through Ableton and just completely freaked it out. So that's blended in underneath Colin's spoken word part along with your track, and then
Cool.
Once we hit the build, it's all you. So coming up next, this is Colin Mosher with a piece called "Thus I Have Heard," and mixed in with some original music from E23 and DelayLama. Check it out.
Thus have I heard. We were somewhere outside Boulder, at the edge of the mountains, when reality began to dissolve. I turned to Jim and said something like, "I'm feeling a bit lightheaded. Maybe you should drive." When suddenly we were surrounded by laughing monks, whirling dervishes, and dakinis in reverse bikinis. Giant, swooping creatures, crying out and having fun. "Be your own guru and enjoy life," we all said, in a perfect disharmony, echoing against every crack and crag of this cosmic canyon. A radical rascal of our times, a boisterous bard of 1,000 more, he saw the best minds of his generation open, become brilliant, and radiate boundless love, as bright as 1,000,000,000 suns. He liaised for the Academy as the Crazy and published beautiful odes on the windows of his own skull. He stood tall when he burned his draft card and blasted auditory joy from every dais he climbed. Not quite not psycho-naughty, fearlessly fraught with fright. He saw, then became the sight, like a flash of lightning in the dark of night. A psycho-nautilus shot into outer space, radiant and gleaming, tripping along, ecstatically screaming. Now intergalactic, a controlled careening. Uncalcified and resplendent with all the major and minor marks of a human, but bang! A Buddha. Boom! Servant of the Buddha. Far from today's fool, the Buddha bomb, James Drew, also known as He Who Knew. Lucky are we, then and still, 'cause we got to get to know him too.
Well, we've got about 40 minutes left in this program that is a tribute to Buddha Bomb. You're dialed into Electronic Air here on KGNU. And we've got Ann Cantaloupe in the studio with us who would like to share a remembrance as well. Thanks for swinging in.
Hey, nice to be here. I'm hosting the next show, Under the Floorboards, and just had to come in early to hearing everything about Buddha Bomb, who I have known maybe longer than everyone here. Since '79, I was at the same Buddhist seminary with him.
That's
part
so
of the
awesome.
Buddhist group here in Boulder, and part of the cohort of people who were brought by a man named Ed Stanley to be programmers in Denver and learn the PIC system. And we were known there as the Red Stringers because we had red strings around our neck, blessing strings. And I've known Buddha Bomb as one of the gentlest people I've ever known. And over the years, I just kept running into him. I decided to be a DJ, and there was Buddha Bomb. I got a job at his company, and I worked with him there, and he just seemed to be everywhere, and a very gentle fellow, very warm, giving, loving, and that's my story.
Well, all of that's true, and I appreciate you taking the time to drop by and share that.
Oh, couldn't resist. Yeah.
No, it's perfect, and it's funny the connection also with rigged in and programming and PIC systems, and a lot of people who knew Jim as Buddha Bomb had no idea that he was a world-class programmer and entrepreneur and very successful.
He did the whole thing. I just kind of showed up and got a job and showed up and did some coding, but he took it all on.
Well,
and that takes a lot of guts and chutzpah or whatever you would say. Daring and energy and faith.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and he came well packaged with all of the above.
All of it, yeah. The energy,
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Ann. Really appreciate you sharing that. And I also wanted to give shouts out to Jenna Melling, who dropped a very sweet note about how Buddha Bomb also positively influenced her life, and that she shared the 222 birthday with him as well. We've got another piece that is a commemorative piece that I think is just perfectly aligned with Buddha Bomb's tastes, particularly in music. This is a track that was actually completed, kind of like the one that we just heard from DelayLama there, Buddha Bomb's Away. Kolishin, this is another artist who is a psytrance artist who put together a track called Groove Mechanics using samples from Buddha Bomb's voice in it, and it's just an epic psytrance track. So we're going to listen to some of that here as we're getting near about the 15-minute mark before we wrap the show.
Collision is in the stream. trance. You're talking about the genre of trance music that came out of a party scene out of Goa, India, and then was started to produce some albums, right? And it was for a while called Goa trance, and then psy trance, and then psychedelic trance, and then there's been a bit of a movement calling it just trance again.
That was awesome. Just the sonic element that was required for a proper tribute to Buddha Bomb. Some psytrance in the mix there.
You know, the psytrance really does it for me. And he was so into it. Oh, my God. And Goa. He just would rev it up to the Goa crazy, crazy beats.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, he was, yeah, I really enjoyed his stuff. Early on, he was really into that.
Yeah, he, as far as I know, he was introduced to Goa Trance by DJ Cause, who was part of our crew. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things where he was so immediately attracted to it that when he started DJing, psytrance, I started removing that from my sets because I really wanted to give him sort of exclusive rights on that domain, and he was so passionate about it.
But didn't Raja and Mikey Fisher also play psytrance when they were on Electronic Air so much? They played all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
But when Buddha Bomb started doing it, that's when I perked up and really got into it. It was identified for me, and I was like, whoa. And that's when I was rolling around on the floor.
Yeah, so to my awareness, he was first turned on to it when I first met him back in 1998. And because, when he came down to the studio, I was playing that night with Matter and Ken, DJ Cause. And that was Cause's thing. He only played psytrance. And then, of course, we went back and we started streaming on Radio Valve. And Buddha Bomb started showing up. At that time, he was just the software entrepreneur guy, And he started showing up, and he would come every weekend when we were streaming. And of course, the three of us would always tag team together. And when Ken was up, here he was dropping psytrance.
Yeah.
And I'd mix in a lot of psytrance with him if I was following Ken.
Yeah.
But
it was fun to go over there. It was a fun time going over to your house.
It was, and I know that that we're doing the memorial this summer as well, and I've got literally a box full of photographs that your father took during that era. And I remember him saying one day you're going to really appreciate that I took all these photos, because some of these people aren't going to be here anymore.
Oh.
And he's right. I mean, there are quite a few people who are no longer here who are in those photos. So,
definitely.
So that'll be something that I've been working on curating it, so that I can put it together in some sort of meaningful, catalog or post it online, for folks to be able to reference. But there's just a lot of great stuff in there.
I want to see it.
I would be remiss not to give shouts out to Deborah Eagle, who is listening in from Tucson in the Sonoran Desert. So thank you, Deborah. Really appreciate you.
She's known Buddha Bomb since Naropa days.
Long time. Yeah. And I'm appreciative for the opportunities that I've had to do some of the service work with her as well. So we're rounding the bend on just a few minutes left here. Ati, Elena, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thanks for having us. I did want to add one quick point to the stories about my dad blasting psytrance, which is that my house kind of faces you can really hear what's going on the road well, so you could hear the kids could hear Grandpa coming. It was so it kind of is funny. It's like, if you've ever heard that, that kind of obnoxious, teenager driving up and down the street, drumping, with the bass thumping, that was actually, if you live in the East Boulder area, that could have probably been my dad, not an obnoxious teenager.
Oh my goodness. That is so perfect. I love it. It's like the ice cream truck coming.
Right. It's like
Grandpa.
the ice cream Grandpa. Exactly. The Psytrance ice cream truck is coming. He did also usually bring ice cream, so.
Well, somehow that's perfectly fitting. I love it.
No martinis for the children.
Nope,
Well, this has been a real blessing for me. Just so meaningful for us to be able to come together like this, and I'm so appreciative of all the contributions from everyone and all the storytelling, all the sharing of love. Jim Jobson was worth every bit of it. What a wonderful being. I'm so thankful to have shared such a meaningful part of my own life with him. So we're gonna wrap things up here with a couple more pieces. I put together some additional music for one piece that Miraja had also included during his set. It's just great words of advice that I think are worthwhile to kind of wrap things up here. And then Miraja had also finished with just a really great track during Rhythm Sanctuary. From Down Like Silver, a track called Wolves.
When I die, let the wolves enjoy my bones. When I die, let me go. When I die, let the wolves enjoy my bones. When I die, let me go. When I die, you can push me out to sea. When I die, set me free. When I die, let the sharks come round to feed. now.